I never imagined that a simple request for help would lead to a moment that changed the way I saw my family, especially my stepson. My name is Caroline, and I live in a quiet neighborhood in Michigan with my husband Daniel and his son from a previous marriage, Ethan. I met Daniel 5 years ago, and we got married 2 years after that. When I came into their lives, Ethan was already in high school, smart, introverted, a bit distant, and understandably protective of his father. Blending into a new family is never easy, and although I tried my best to connect with Ethan, our bond remained polite but formal. The turning point happened one early autumn weekend when Daniel had to fly to California for a work conference. He asked me if I'd be okay staying alone, and I assured him I'd manage. I honestly looked forward to a few quiet days to catch up on reading and reorganize the house. But fate had a different plan. That Saturday morning, just as the rain started pouring, I went down to the basement to retrieve a few old storage boxes, and while stepping onto the final step, I lost my balance. My right foot slipped and I landed hard, twisting my ankle. The pain was sharp and immediate, and I realized I couldn't stand on my own. Panicked and soaked from the leaking basement pipes, I managed to crawl to the small bench near the stairs and pulled out my phone. I tried calling Daniel, but he was mid-flight. That's when I remembered Ethan was home upstairs, probably still asleep. I hesitated for a moment before texting him. We weren't exactly close, and I hated the idea of being a burden, but I had no choice. "Ethan, I slipped in the basement. Can you come help me? I think I hurt my ankle." To my surprise, he responded instantly. "I'm on my way." Within minutes, I heard footsteps rushing down. Ethan appeared with a concerned look, his usual aloofness replaced by genuine worry. He crouched next to me and gently examined my ankle. "Caroline, this looks swollen. We should get you upstairs and have it looked at." "I think I can manage with a little support," I said, embarrassed. He didn't hesitate. With surprising strength, he lifted me under the arms and helped me slowly make my way upstairs. I clung to him more than I would have liked, but his patience made the moment easier. Once on the couch, he grabbed an ice pack, some painkillers, and even a blanket without me asking. I watched him move around the kitchen and living room, and for the first time, I saw not just a quiet teenager, but a young man who genuinely cared. Later that afternoon, as the storm continued outside, he sat on the armchair across from me and asked, "Is there anything else you need?" His voice was softer than usual. I shook my head. "You've done more than enough, Ethan. Thank you." There was a pause, then he said something unexpected. "I never told you this, but I used to think you were trying too hard when you married Dad. Like you were replacing someone. But now I realize you really care." I was stunned. That might have been the most open thing he had ever said to me. I looked at him, unsure how to respond at first. "I know I could never replace your mom. That was never my goal. I just wanted to be a part of this family in whatever way I could." He nodded. "I think I get that now." The rain created a soft rhythm in the background, and for the first time in years, the house felt warm. Not because of a heater, but because there was something unspoken between us, a bridge finally forming. Over the next few days, Ethan stepped into a caretaker role I didn't expect. He brought me meals, refilled my water, helped adjust the pillows, and even offered to run errands. On Sunday evening, he made grilled cheese sandwiches and tomato soup. We ate in the living room, watching an old comedy he insisted I try. I laughed harder than I had in weeks. That night, I called Daniel to update him. "You'll never believe this, but your son has been taking care of everything. He's been incredible." Daniel chuckled. "I told you he just needed time. Maybe this is the moment you two needed." He was right. The next morning, Ethan knocked on my bedroom door, holding a tray with breakfast. "I made pancakes," he said, clearly proud. I smiled. "You're spoiling me." "Just making sure you don't starve," he joked, but there was a lightness to his tone that hadn't been there before. When my ankle began healing, I tried to resume my regular tasks, but Ethan kept insisting I rest. He even helped me reorganize the attic like I'd planned to do that weekend. While sorting through old boxes, we came across photo albums from his childhood. He hesitated but allowed me to flip through them with him. He pointed out pictures, told me stories about school field trips and summer vacations with his dad. I listened closely, grateful he was letting me in. One photo showed a much younger Ethan sitting on his mother's lap, smiling brightly. I handed it back gently, not wanting to overstep. "She was beautiful," I said quietly. He nodded. She really loved me." "I don't doubt that. And I'm sure she'd be proud of the man you're becoming." He didn't say anything, but the look in his eyes told me he appreciated the words. When Daniel returned home that Wednesday evening, he walked into a house that felt different. The atmosphere was lighter, and the tension that once hung in the air between Ethan and me was gone. Daniel sat next to me and said, "What did I miss?" "A lot, actually," I replied with a grin. That night, we had dinner together, Daniel, Ethan, and me. We talked, laughed, and for the first time, it truly felt like a family meal. Over the next few weeks, Ethan and I continued to grow closer. We started cooking together on weekends, exchanging book recommendations, and even going on walks when my ankle was strong enough. He asked for advice about college applications and what to write in his personal essays. I offered my thoughts, not as a replacement mom, but as someone who cared deeply about his future. One day, he handed me an envelope with a printout of his college essay. The title was "The Woman Who Taught Me About Family." I read it with trembling hands. In it, he wrote about how, for years, he closed himself off, thinking love had to look a certain way, like what he lost. But then he wrote about the moment I slipped in the basement, and how, in helping me, he saw someone who had quietly been there all along. He said I taught him that family wasn't just about blood, but about presence, patience, and kindness. Tears ran down my cheeks by the time I finished. I looked up and saw Ethan standing there, unsure of how I'd react. "I don't know what to say," I whispered. "You don't have to say anything," he said. "I just wanted you to know." I hugged him, a long, warm hug that felt like years of distance melting away. From that moment on, everything truly did change. We weren't just coexisting under the same roof. We were a family built not from perfect beginnings, but from small, honest moments that slowly brought us closer. Looking back now, I realize that sometimes the most unexpected moments, like slipping on a rainy day and asking for help, can open doors to healing and connection. That weekend, I didn't just recover from a twisted ankle. I gained a bond with my stepson I never thought possible. And for that, I'll always be grateful.